Hi there, I'm Julie Creffield, founder of the Fat Girl's Guide to Running, and today I want to talk to you about how prepared you really are for your spring marathon. Now, I've run 3 spring marathons, my first being in 2012 when I did London, and I'd wanted to run a marathon for a number of years. In 2005, I was working on the Olympics, and I said, if London gets the games, I'll run the marathon in 2012, and that's how it kind of came about. And at the time, I couldn't even run to the top of my road, so it was this kind of crazy goal. But the minute I got my place, and I was running for Great Ormond Street, something changed, and actually something had to change, because I'd done 10Ks and I'd done a few half marathons, and I'd never really trained for them properly. I'd never changed my diet. I hadn't really understood what it takes to train for races, but I knew with the marathon it had to be different, because I think there are so many races out there now. So many people of all shapes and sizes are running long distance events that perhaps some people underestimate how difficult the marathon actually is. So there are 11 weeks until the London Marathon, and I felt compelled this morning to get up and share some of my some of the things I've learnt along the way, because in 2012 I trained, I would say, perfectly. I was at the start line, obviously very nervous, but I was completely prepared. I had devised my own training plan, but I had also joined a traditional running club. I joined the East London Runners, and I was, for about 4 or 5 months, I was running with them. I was going to training sessions, I was doing long Sunday runs, and I knew that I had got to the start line in the best condition that I possibly could have. I got my diet under control. I probably became the smallest that I'd ever been. I can't remember what I weighed, but I shifted quite a bit of weight, and my body was strong. It was very strong. What that meant was that the first half of the marathon felt easy. I flew around that course. I probably went a little bit too fast, actually. And I got to London Bridge, which is the halfway point, and thought, I haven't stopped yet. So I actually run 16 miles without stopping, which was unheard of. I hadn't done that in training. I'd always been a bit of a kind of run walker. So I got to 16 miles, and I think I would have carried on, but I felt sick from the energy gels. And again, I hadn't really used them in training. I'd used them in other races, but never over that long period of time. So I was 2.5 hours into my marathon, and I'd had probably 1 too many gels, and I felt nauseous. So I walked through the Isle of Dogs. And then again, I started running again when I got to Canary Wharf, run right the way past mile 20, mile 21, then my legs started to hurt. But I can remember getting to about mile 21 and thinking, I'm doing this. I am actually doing this. And I didn't feel sore. I didn't feel tired. And all of that training that I had done had paid off. The last few miles, I'm not going to lie, were very difficult, and there was bits of walking. The weather had changed. It was raining. It was cold. I was cold. And I can remember finishing that marathon. So I finished in 5. Goodness me, I can't even remember. I used to have it printed on my fridge, and then I took the sticker down. But this is my medal from 2012. I did it in 5 hours 50:37, I think, something like that. So just short of 6 hours. And that was stopping a few times for loo breaks towards the end. So I felt really proud of that time. And I was, funnily enough, what happened after that was I found out I was pregnant. I was actually 6 weeks pregnant when running that marathon. So I had a long period of not running, and then as soon as I'd had my daughter, my goal was to be able to get back to the kind of shape that I was in so that I could run another marathon. So I set my heart on running the Brighton Marathon in 2014, that's my medal from Brighton. And again, my training was really good. This time I had a child, so it was a little bit more difficult. But I put in the miles, and I did some work on speed, so I was going to a track session, and actually my speed had improved quite a bit. So I was looking at much closer to a 5-hour marathon in my prep for this. So I felt really strong. I'd got control of my diet. Was running 3 to 4 times a week, was doing other kind of activities, swimming, lots of walking and stuff like that. Sadly, a couple of weeks before the Brighton Marathon, I pulled a muscle in my back. I just picked my daughter up strangely at nursery, and something had got in my back, and I had that really horrible incident of a doctor telling me I was too fat to run, which is kind of how this all came about. So I got to the start line at Brighton feeling very nervous, because I think probably the last 4 weeks I did very little running at all, maybe a couple of 5Ks. So I had, my longest run was probably the last big run that I did. And I struggled with Brighton. I struggled mentally. I lost confidence about the halfway point, because I knew I didn't feel comfortable. I felt exhausted by the time I got to the halfway point, which meant that marathon wasn't enjoyable. It was a struggle. It was a battle of my will and my body, and I just remember crossing the finish line and feeling really emotional, and I was being interviewed by Channel 4, which didn't help, and I was this kind of emotional wreck being interviewed. But I was proud that I did it, and I think the fact that I did it only a year after having a child and all of that kind of stuff was great. And the reason I'm kind of going into this kind of detail with you is because so often you say, oh, I've done a marathon, and people think, oh, you've done a marathon. And they don't realise there are these stories behind them around kind of how you train for them, how you get yourself mentally prepared. And we all have our own experiences of this. And remember, I've trained women now, I've probably trained 30 or so women to prepare for the London Marathon. So, I kind of do know what I'm talking about. And then the last marathon that I ran was in 2015. And again, that was the London Marathon. This one was a real struggle to train for. I was running. I probably didn't do the miles that I should have done. I definitely didn't get my diet under control. And I also managed to hurt myself a couple of weeks prior to this. I fell down the stairs of a bus. So I didn't get to the start line in the best of shapes for 2015. And this time I was running with one of my ladies. We actually had a team of 5, I think, women from the Too Fat to Run community. And I stuck with one of them, Joanne, and we got each other around the course. She was injured. She had a foot injury. And we ran the first half strong but slow. There wasn't a lot of walking in the first half, if any. But the second half was hard. It was really hard. And the atmosphere feels different. The back end of a marathon, it's where I know it sounds odd, it's where the real hard work happens. Of course, the elites are working hard, come on, that's a given. But they train, it's their life. And, the middle of the pack where you've got all the club runners, again, they train for this. They do them year in, year out. And you have the charity fund runners. But right at the back end of this, back end of any marathon, actually, there are these individuals who have these real stories and reasons for why they want to cover the 26.2 miles distance. It's a huge accomplishment for them. And to run a marathon, or to walk a marathon, or to try and walk it, whatever it is, in 8 hours is a huge kind of emotional roller coaster. And the one that took me nearly 7 hours was the toughest. To be out, to have to deal with your kind of nutrition. By the time I got to about mile 20, seriously, if somebody had offered me a roast dinner, I would have sat on the edge of the road and ate it. I was so hungry. And my body hurt. My body hurt everywhere from about mile 18 because it had taken us so long to get there. So I guess the reason that I'm telling you this, the reason that I'm sharing this with you, is that you've got 11 weeks, okay? And you may not be at the point that you want to be now. And then you may be changing your goals and going, well, I don't care about time, I just want to get round, or I might just walk bits of it, do a run-walk strategy, and that's okay, but you've still got time. You've still got time to pull it out of the bag and to get yourself to the start line in the strongest position that you could be in, because nobody knows what's going to happen on that course. And In 2015, as I said, we had a team of women, and some women trained more than others. And on the day, there was a real correlation between how much they enjoyed the race and how much they achieved their goal in pure relation to how much training they did. And even last year, we had ladies that I'd been supporting to run the marathon, and some of them just didn't put the miles in. Now, you've got 11 weeks. You should be running 3 times a week. You know, if you're finding reasons to not be running, you really need to kind of ask yourself this question: am I taking this seriously? Am I giving it the respect that it deserves? Because okay, there may be other marathons that you could run in the future, but you only get one shot at running this one. And why would you not take it seriously? Why would you not throw 100% at it? And it might sound that I'm being negative or bossy or you know, whatever, but I want you to get to that start line feeling fantastic, and I want you to get to the end feeling fantastic, and I don't want you to injure yourself in the process. 26.2 miles is a huge strain on anybody, but if you're overweight, as I have been, I've been overweight for each one of those races. In 2012 I was a size 16, in 2014 I was probably a size 18, and in 2015 I was probably a size 20 again. So I was carrying an awful lot of weight on me, and your body feels that every step that you take with that extra weight is going to hurt. And I'm not advocating huge diets or weight loss strategies. That's not what I'm saying. But you know when you're eating properly. You know when you're fueling yourself as an athlete, because this is what you need to look at yourself as. You need to see yourself as an athlete. So yeah, you've got 11 weeks. So you should be having another look at your schedule, at your training plan. You should be absolutely focusing on your nutrition and on how you fuel yourself and how you recover. You should also be getting into that mindset of I am an athlete and I am throwing 100% of my effort and my energy into this. You need to ask people for help. You need to ask your loved ones, the people around you, to support you with your diet choices. If you've got a boyfriend that keeps bringing you in donuts, tell him, stop. Stop. Do you really not want me to complete this marathon? If you've got friends that keep moaning because you're not allowed to go out at the weekends because you're training, just tell them, after the marathon, I'm all yours. But for now, for the next 11 weeks, this is what I'm focusing on. And people will respect you. Don't try and be everything to everybody. You need to be selfish during this marathon training time. You need to put yourself first, and you need to give yourself a hard time so that you do put your trainers on and get out that door. And when in terms of asking for help, for the ladies that are in the Clubhouse, which is our online running club, I'm here. I'm here to hold your hand, to give you advice, to, you know, we can jump on a Skype call, you know, post it in the Facebook group, and I am here to help you get to that start line in the best shape you can. So I just wanted to share that with you, and I'm really excited about this year's marathon. We're going to have a cheering station at mile 10, which is what we did last year. So we'll see all of our ladies come through and give them the celebrations that they deserve. And I've just signed up for an autumn marathon, which is something I've never done before. I'm going to be doing the Beachy Head Marathon in October. So I'm going to be training through the summer, which is going to be quite odd. So yeah, any questions, post them below, and if I can help, I absolutely will. These medals, they are a symbol of the marathons that you run, but actually the most important stuff are the memories of them, and they will last you a lifetime. So let's just make sure that those memories are happy ones. All right, have a good day. Bye.